Good morning. Wow, what a 24 hours I've had over the past day. Actually, since I did the video, it's been 25 hours, I guess, plus a little bit. Anyway, good morning again. Today's title that I selected shortly after 4 o'clock is 2012, Divine Dictator Dies, if we choose it. And the blurb that I wrote is so many humans, myself included, think we know God. But what if all we know is our own distortion, also known as our description of what we imagine the divine to be? Have we all been brainwashed to believe that God is some dictator in the heavens whose desire is that we all fall lockstep into a system of total control? Well, let's explore some ideas. Perhaps we can see with fresh eyes and make new choices. It's interesting because right after I wrote that, within 10 minutes, I got an email in my inbox from, I thought, a friend of mine on Facebook, Michael Barker from California. However, I checked. In fact, I've got his page up on my computer screen right now, and I can add him as a friend, but he's not even one of my friends. He's just in one of the groups that I belong in about the police state. Anyway, he wrote and posted, although when I went to the link, it says it has already been removed, which, talk about synchronicity. He posted this, and then it disappeared at 4:12 a.m. I mean, it's 4:40, what now? 4:45. So he posted it within the hour that I got it and that I read it, and I thought, boy, that fits perfectly with what. Let me turn around here a little bit. It fits perfectly with today's topic. He wrote, "How did it get like this? How did life become such a drag? Who shot up the hamster with amphetamine? Who poisoned the well? Who did it in Palestine? Who's doing it now? Who got together with the worst of us to come down on our heads? Who put creed against creed and color against color? Who's making the money from the carnage and ruin? Who's selling you fear about people you don't even know? Who did what got blamed on the people we bombed? Who put a boogeyman under your bed? Who made crime so attractive and armed the cartels? Who made ordinary folk into dysfunctional trolls? Who made the cops mean? Who corrupted the priests? Who made one big clusterfuck nightmare from Roundup and Ready Whip? Who taught you false history? Who created the river of darkness that runs under the ship of state? Who created God from a toilet and taught you to worship it? Flush once for a wake-up and twice for a hair from the bad dog that bit you, and you're almost there. Signed, Dog Poet. Now, I don't know if Michael wrote that or not, but boy, I thought that fits so in with what I'm going to talk about today. Which, again, I wrote the blurb and the title before I read that. I mean, it hadn't even quite been sent yet when I was working on what I was going to talk about this morning after coming from the meditation room. But can you see the synchronicity of how that fits with what I had written just in the title and my little description, my little blurb, as I call it? I can see it right away. When I had the opportunity yesterday to actually leave my house. Most of the day, in fact, I was gone. My house was not empty. I had someone here making sure that everything was good, and it was. But I got to spend time with friends from all over the state of Florida who have a common vision. And I'm not going to go into much detail on that, except to say how wonderful and joyous it was. I might say a little bit more about it, but not much. How wonderful and joyous it was to see people from different backgrounds coming together with a common vision of what we can actually do to make the world work better. That is so, you can't imagine how powerful that is when we get over our petty differences and focus on a common goal, common dream, if you will, and then take steps to actually make that dream come true. That's what I was doing yesterday with some magnificent people. But when I got home, and I said to people as I was riding home, there were 6 of us in the vehicle, and we were laughing and having a great time driving home. But I said, I bet I'm going to have over 500 emails, and I actually had almost just under 600 emails when I got home to go through. And this morning when I get up, after I finally got them all cleared away, going on 11 o'clock last night, after I got them all cleared up, I go to bed, and then I get up this morning, and there's 111 new emails in my Paradox Man inbox. 111, 111. Isn't that just coincidence? Just coincidence. What can I tell you? But I had a few phone calls while I was gone yesterday, and I answered them last night before I started on all the emails. And one of them was from my friend Margie, who, after watching yesterday's video, went into meditation on her own. By the way, there were several people that wrote to me yesterday, that some of them trying meditation for the first time, and others, there was a lot of discussion about meditation, which part of that is what led me into today's title and topic. But Margie called me and she said, as she was meditating, she got this clear message from Spirit: you've got it all wrong. I'm not trying to make you fit into some little box that you have to get it just right, and you're always judging yourself for falling short or seeming like you're falling short. I want you to be filled with joy. I want you to find the joy in life that Jesus said that he wanted our joy to be full. That's the Father's intent, for our joy to be filled up in us. That means we are fulfilled with joy, with pleasure, with things that make us happy. But what have we created? We have created in our religions and in our culture, as Michael Barker implies, we have created a boogeyman under our bed that spies on us, and we've internalized that boogeyman. We've internalized that image of a divine being that is a slave master that tries to whip us into submission and get us to do his will, because only his will is meaningful. As if we are not allowed to have a will of our own and to explore on our own and to decide for ourselves what we choose to be or not to be, to do or not to do. Like God is some arbitrary. I remember my friend Bruce Morgan saying about the will of God. The will of God is not some arbitrary thing that falls down from the sky upon you. The will of God is in you the way you are created to be. It's your essential nature. It is you. It's not some boogeyman up there, some demon in the sky that we call God, that imposes his will upon us. That's not how it works, folks. But yet we, myself included, many of us, we have taken that image of God as a divine dictator who, if we don't get it right, if we don't meditate just right, if we don't pray exactly the way we're supposed to, if we don't refrain from the things that we're not supposed to do, we have all these rules set up that come from supposedly the divine dictator that religion has used to manipulate us using guilt and fear and shame. Now, as I said, the divine dictator can die if we choose it. You see, nothing has meaning except the meaning you and I give it. Believe it true, believe it false. And you're right. That's what you're going to experience. If you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, you're right. Get it, folks. God, in relation to the individual, is however the individual chooses God to be. It's not that God is that, but that's going to be the experience of how we encounter the idea, the definition or the description that we have given to what we call divine. And we've put ourselves in an awful box. But, nevertheless, we're awakening in that box. The prodigal son and the prodigal daughter in the pig pen are waking up and saying, wait a minute, something's screwed up here. It doesn't have to be like this. We can ask all the whys, how did it get like this? Who did this and who did that? As Jon Barker's questions, beautiful questions, beautiful questions. We come to ourselves and we say, wait a minute. If God is love, this trip that I've put myself on, this ego trip of thinking that I know God and I've created a monster, I've imagined a monster with divine powers, a devil that has more ability than the creator that I'm told is love. I have to let that go, don't I? I can let that go. That's not really the truth. I've created a distortion, haven't I? Haven't I? These are questions that I ask myself. Because I've been on the same trip y'all have been on. Maybe there's variations of the trip, but it's the same trip. It's called self-discovery. And when the ancient philosophers said, know thyself, they knew what they were talking about because the kingdom of heaven is within us. So how do we know God? We know God in us, but it goes through just God. God doesn't change at all, but yet our perception of God does. And it goes through many evolutions and many changes. And we have the tremendous opportunity today in 2012, in March, March 18, 2012, we have the tremendous opportunity to recreate structures that serve humankind instead of enslave humankind. That's what we were doing yesterday. We were creating structures, actual structures, building upon the foundation that has already been laid, the foundation of freedom that is in each one of our hearts, that is in each one of our souls. The freedom, the flame of freedom that burns and has always burned, however dimly, in the heart of every man and woman and burns throughout all creation. We are bringing together the pieces of our experience and putting my experience with your experience and that person's experience and the other experience. And we're putting that all together and we're developing wisdom from that. That, hey, I can love you even if I don't see things exactly the way you do. The only reason I felt that I had to agree with you in order to love you is because I had an image of God that's how God treated me. That he would only love me if I did everything his way. And I wasn't allowed to have an individual personality or an individual experience. I was not allowed to do that because I had to fit just right in order to be acceptable, in order to be loved. But man, this whole way of doing it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And it never will. Because that's not the Creator. That's a distortion. That's a caricature. It's not real. It's something we made up. It's make-believe. It's a fairy tale. Now, some people would say that God is love, that that's the fairy tale. Bullshit. That's not the fairy tale. That's the reality. The love, they say, if God is love, why does he allow all this stuff? Well, what do you want him to do? Be the dictator that programs us to behave only a certain way so that only good can come and we can't experience our own negative creations and pay the price and for creating something which hurts us? What we sow, we reap. Now, did God do that? Well, God did everything. But God does nothing. Ah, the paradox. Don't you just love it? God does everything, and yet God does nothing. Because the creation just simply goes on. Now, are we going to wake up? Flush once for a wake up and twice for a hair from the bad dog that bit you. And you're almost there, as Michael Barker wrote. I choose to let the divine dictator die. It's going to be a process. Or maybe it's going to be instantaneous. Who knows how it's going to happen? But I choose for myself. I choose today to live in the newness of life, to experience the joy and the laughter that I was experiencing in the car coming back from our meeting yesterday, where I finally got out of the house, the first time in over a month that I got out of the house for more than just a half an hour. Let me tell you something, folks. We're on the verge of big changes. And we're not going to rise above our concept of God. If you've got a narrow God that restricts you and you think restricts everybody else, it's time to take a knife and kill that God. Because it's not really God. And we can't kill God. We can't kill the Creator. We can't kill what is. It is, because it is. It's nature. It's in everything. It's God. He and she. It's God in everything. And we're all. And in all. God is all and in all. And all that is. And we are one. Wake up. Wake up and smell the roses. Or if you like that smell, which I don't, smell the coffee. But wake up. Wake up to who you are. And you will know that God has always been malleable in our experience. But we can choose to see from a different perspective if we want to. Does your God serve you? Does your idea of God serve you and make you truly love everybody? If it doesn't, I suggest you examine it really, really closely in your own heart, in your own gut. Use critical thinking. Does it serve you? I guess that's all I'm going to say today. I've probably said enough. It's almost 19 minutes. Namaste. Thank you.